You know, there was a time when Zambia and Zimbabwe won. It was called Northern and Southern Rhodesia. It was won by the British, but we are now separate. And the Americans are consolidating their power in that country, both in terms of security and in terms of financial support to Zambia, to make sure that we feel lonely.
Social media erupts as Mnangagwa complains to Putin about United States influence in Zambia. A video of President Emmerson Mnangagwa voicing concerns about Western favoritism towards Zambia and Malawi during his brief meeting with Russia President Vladimir Putin has sparked controversy on social media. In the meeting, Mnangagwa told Putin that the United States is strengthening its military presence in Zambia. During Thursday's discussion, President Mnangagwa sought assistance for defense and food security, expressing worries about United States influence in Zambia. He claimed the United States is consolidating its power there through increased security and financial aid, suggesting this aims to isolate Zimbabwe. You see, the West has just begun consolidating its power in Zambia, our next neighbor. You know, there was a time when Zambia and Zimbabwe were one. It was called Northern and Southern Rhodesia. It was made one by the British, but they are now separate, and the Americans are consolidating their power in that country, both in terms of security and in terms of financial support to Zambia, to make sure that we feel lonely. But that will not change us, because we have taken a course as a people that we feel we want to be independent, and we will choose our friends ourselves. And besides, we are independent today because most of us in the leadership trained here during our war of liberation. We got independence because we are supported by yourselves here, and we don't forget that history. And you don't forget about us, President Mnangagwa told Putin. His remarks quickly sparked debate on social media. Some users criticized Mnangagwa for complaining about a neighboring Southern African country to Russia, while others felt he was justified.
The relations just ended there. And thereafter, both the British and the Americans have not looked upon us. They think that we are too much inclined to the East. But we have no apologies at all. We feel we are better in relations with the people who also respect us, not persons who look down upon us. So we are very happy to be here. And we are anxious to actually have our relations more comprehensive and consolidated between ourselves. Yes, we are a very advanced country, but there's a lot that we can learn from you. There's a lot that we can benefit from that relationship. And there's a lot that we can open for the Russian Federation to participate in our economy, especially in the mining sector and in agriculture. There's a lot that we can afford for you to participate. And in that process, the West will run away. You see, the West have just begun consolidating their power in Zambia, our next neighbor. You know, there was a time when Zambia and Zimbabwe won. It was called Northern and Southern Rhodesia. It was won by the British, but we are now separate. And the Americans are consolidating their power in that country, both in terms of security and in terms of financial support to Zambia, to make sure that we feel lonely. But that will not change us, because we have taken a course which, as a people, that we feel we want to be independent, and we choose our friends ourselves. And besides, we are independent today because most of us in the leadership trained here during our war of liberation. We got our independence because we were supported by yourselves here, and you don't forget that history, and you stood by us. So, Mr. President, I am happy to be here, and if opportunity avails later on, I mean, we may find time to chat and go into more detail as which areas we must focus in terms of supporting each other, and in terms of where we feel we need external support, more especially in the area of defense and security, as well as food security. those areas we need to be supported. The mechanization of our agriculture and so on. We can't go to the West. We have to come here because the West would want to see us down. They support our neighbors, Zambia and Malawi, very heavily. But in spite of that, Zimbabwe's economic growth is the fastest growing economy in the region, in spite of us being isolated by the Americans. So, Your Excellency, I'm very happy to be here.